Good morning, gentlemen. JK, your brother, in the struggle here on my way back from the gym. Today I want to talk to you guys about two tricks that your addict mind or your addict, let's call it subpersonality, plays on you. For those of you who are new to the channel or who are not familiar with the term addict subpersonality, it is simply the person that you are when your nervous system is in a state of being triggered or in a state of being aroused. So all those traits that you exhibit as a result of your brain's wiring to pornography and to other sexually compulsive thoughts and behaviors, all of that together is what we would call the addict subpersonality. Of course, it becomes a subpersonality when you're actually able to separate it from yourself. Not like a crazy person, okay, with multiple personalities. That's not what I mean. But more like a person who is very, very aware of the type of person that they, or rather the personality they embody when they experience a very strong emotion, or when an unresolved issue comes up, or when they're triggered sexually. Right? So two tricks that this subpersonality plays on you. The first is for those of you who are following the porn reboot system, or maybe another system that works. I pay attention to mine for the most part because this is what worked for me and has worked for thousands of our clients. But if you're following a system that's working, one of the things that your addict mind will do to trick you is to tell you that it isn't working. Right? This is very important. You know you're putting in the work. You're putting it in with consistency. In many cases, you haven't even slipped. You haven't even relapsed. But you just feel like you've plateaued, and this thought keeps coming up that my morning routine and my dialoguing and staying accountable, it doesn't seem to be doing anything because I feel like I am the same person. And this can occur while you're 60 days in, 90 days in, 120 days in, even 1 year in. And this is very, very deceptive because the moment you fall for this, in many cases, you are absolutely done with whatever system you're using. Whether you're using 12 steps, working with a therapist, using the porn reboot system, whatever you're using, the moment you buy into that and you go like, yeah, it's too challenging, I can't do it, right? Or, well, I'll get to the second trick in a moment. But I just want you to know that this is actually a sign that your reboot system, the reboot system that you're using, is working. What I would like you to pay attention to as a form of measurement would be the responses that you are getting from people in your reboot circle, people who are in the world outside of you. I'm not going to explain what reboot circle is. You can join our group if you want to learn more about that. But your parents, your partner, your spouse, your girlfriend, your good friends will start noticing a change in you. Hey man, you're a lot calmer. Hey, there's something a little bit different about you. Hey, you don't get stressed out that often. Although in your head and in your life, you feel like nothing's changing and there's a lot of resistance, all right? Now, when this resistance comes up, again, it's so easy to just give in to it, brothers. When the resistance comes up, it is important to just be aware of the resistance. I am aware that I am experiencing a lot of resistance to the system right now. And this is one of the reasons why it is very, very helpful to have a coach or a mentor. I don't think you guys, let me explain this. If you don't have somebody who is at the very least ahead of you in this game, and when I say a mentor, I mean somebody who has been through this process before. It doesn't need to be me. It could be somebody who is maybe has rebooted after 2 years, okay? It could be somebody who has controlled their behavior for 3 or 4 years. It doesn't have to be somebody like me who does this professionally, okay? But when you have a guide who has seen the movie before, and you have somebody that you can check in with on a regular basis, and they let you know, dude, that resistance, normal part of the process, right? It's an absolutely normal part of the reboot process. It's literally a milestone when you experience extensive resistance that's going to throw you off. And a person who has truly rebooted, not somebody who's a therapist or a coach or who's read a whole bunch of books about this thing. A person who has experienced this will never tell you to power through resistance. This is so important, brothers, right? Don't get led astray. A person who has truly overcome this will let you know that the resistance must be accepted. You must accept it and be aware of it and realize the nature of it. The nature of it is that it will pass. And the more you let the resistance pass, the less it has an impact on you, till you get to a point where there's no longer any resistance, or the resistance is so imperceptible that it is irrelevant. It may be there, but it's like, compare it to the tiny resistance you feel to, like, let's say, going to work, right? You need to be at work at 9 a.m. You need to drive and travel to work, and that morning you just don't feel like doing it. But, you've never skipped work. Work is an obligation. That would be akin to dealing with the resistance that you experience, all right? So enough about that. The first thing is, again, the trick is telling you that this is not working, and then resistance coming up. That's the first trick. The second trick is making you feel, your addict personality makes you feel that you're not smart enough, or rebooting is a very complex procedure, right? Now, it is not complex. It is simple. Some of you have dived into our videos. We have like almost 500 videos on this channel. Sometimes guys will watch like a whole bunch of videos and consume so much information, and they will feel like, oh my God, like this process is incredibly complex. Listen, a good coach, right? A good therapist stays away from complexity. The more complex somebody makes something, the more likely that they are trying to throw wool over your eyes, right? Or they're trying to get you in some way. They have some sort of agenda. The reboot process is simple. It is simple. It is absolutely straightforward, right? And there are a lot of men, again, who have rebooted just using the material on this channel. But whenever you find yourself thinking like, my God, this is so complex, there's so much going on, one thing that has happened is that you have been tricked into consuming a lot of information. When you consume a lot of information and things start seeming complex, it is a sign that you need to get the fuck off social media. You need to stop reading some books. You need to stay away from learning stuff, and you need to spend more time in actions. Whether those actions are self-awareness, doing certain exercises. By exercises, I mean exercises that will increase your self-awareness, meditation, working on other aspects of your reboot capital, right? Journaling. But no more consuming of information like this video that you're watching. You don't need that anymore when you start feeling like things are complex. So lay off it for a couple of days, and then you can come back to it with a very steady information diet. Okay, let's call it that. That's the first thing that happens when your mind starts tricking you into things being complex. The second thing is that it creates an aversion towards material that makes sense. And the reason why it does this is because your addict subpersonality starts to understand that you are serious about ending this behavior. And it is like a parasite that feeds off your negative emotions, that feeds off your unresolved issues, that feeds off stress, right? It requires these things to be alive and to activate your nervous system to act out sexually. Right? So the moment that you start doing something, its existence is threatened, right? I'm not talking about your mind. I'm talking about your addict subpersonality, right? So it starts feeling like, oh my God, this stuff is like, dude, this rebooting stuff is super complex. And then it leads you towards stuff that seems easy, right? Examples of some stuff that seem easy are semen retention and nofap, right? I don't hate nofap. I don't have anything against semen retention. You can see what my thoughts are about it on this channel using the search bar. But I don't think that either of them take you all the way. Neither of them take you all the way to the final goal of changing your self-image, of ultimate self-awareness of who you are, and seeing that you do not need this out of control behavior anymore in your life. You do not need to depend on it. Your brain has rewired. Neither of those will take you to that final destination. And the problem is that when you start going for things that are super simplistic, you end up making your reboot a lot more complex, right? So one of the hallmarks of NoFap is counting days, all right? The moment you start counting days, brother, you've lost the game already. You are no longer rebooting. You're using willpower. And your addict loves it when you use willpower because it knows for a fact that it can outlast you. It is very much a part of you, right? When you start doing semen retention, this is 100% willpower. And the only thing that's actually supporting semen retention is the bullshit that is fed to you by all these quote-unquote YouTubers and people who feed you with all this dopamine bullshit about how semen retention is going to help you. So the truth is, for a lot of guys who practice semen retention, if you removed YouTube, like this is the question, if you removed YouTube, would that methodology still work for you? Right? So if there weren't hundreds or thousands of jacked bros on performance enhancing drugs, right, telling you how to get women, how semen retention really helped them change their life, and bullshit, whatever the fuck they say, right? If that didn't exist, would you be able to continue doing semen retention on your own? The answer is no. You wouldn't be able to do it because semen retention survives off this positive motivation. Rebooting does not. Rebooting is designed for you to have guidance in the beginning, but then we get you to a point where you're able to take the skills you've learned. You're like, I have the skill set of rebooting. A lot of people have hijacked that term to use it to describe their own shit, right? But Porn Reboot, the system we teach, nobody else teaches it. It is just here, Porn Reboot. We give you the skill, and you can, with love and compassion, brother, fuck off. Like, fuck off and go use it on your own. You do not need anybody else after that. All right? So, gentlemen, those are the two tricks that it plays on you. It makes it seem that it is very complex and distracts you. And the second thing is that it makes it seem as if your addict subpersonality makes you think that you're not making any progress in your reboot, right? Both of which are signs that you're actually making progress and you need to stick to it. Now, if that frustrates you and you go like, yeah, JK, I get what you mean, but bro, it's so difficult because I'm in that situation all the time, then dude, you just need to be in the right community, okay? You don't need to pay me anything. You can just join our free Porn Reboot community using the link in the description below, right? And if you are at a point where you're like, dude, I have been through this process like so many times and I really need guidance and I want to get to the point where actually I have mastered this skill set and I can stop searching, stop spending my time on freaking YouTube, mentally masturbating, then put in an application, speak to a member of our team, and find out if our system is a good fit for you. We have two programs. We have one called the Implementation Program, and we have another one called the Reboot Intensive. All right, both of them are awesome programs. The Reboot Intensive is for men over 25 who are high performers, high achievers, usually business owners, professionals who basically just are crushing it and work really hard. And in their profession, they are considered to be in the upper echelon, however you pronounce it, of their profession. Implementation program is open to everyone. So the intensive is for 120 days. We give you 30 days extra just to kind of get used to the program, to get your schedule in sync with it, to deal with some of the shame that you might feel when it comes to opening up to other men. And the implementation program lasts for a full year. So this is where you have full access to my program. You have coaching from myself and my coaches every single week. And you get access to this shit for a year and access to me for a year. What else can I say, right? We have hundreds and hundreds of testimonials from men who have successfully ended their behavior or picked up the skill and moved on in life and are using it successfully. And I'll drop some links to those testimonials below the description as well. I'm JK, your brother in the struggle. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'll speak to you guys later on in the week.